My students, I know you're super excited and pumped up to do some examples on kites. Okay, so in order to do these, we will have to recall the properties of kites that we talked about from the Prezi video, but don't you worry, we'll recap those if you forgot them, which I'm sure you didn't because you guys are so smart. But anyways, the first example, I have this lovely kite drawn. It's a little skinny and narrow, apologize. But anyways, it says find the lengths of all the sides of the kite. So I want to know what all four of these sides are, which this piece from here to here is 4 meters. The longer piece is 9 meters. This little guy is 3 meters as well as this one. Alright, which we're going to be using the properties of kites to help us solve, which, sorry, didn't mean for that to go away, which I have the properties in this little corner that we can reference as we need. Okay, so in a kite, based on the definition, it's a quadrilateral with two pairs of congruent adjacent sides, and opposite sides are not congruent, so it is not a parallelogram, so be careful. So the two sides that touch the adjacent sides, that means next to, the two sides that are next to each other are congruent. So guess what, you guys? I know that these two sides are congruent, and these two sides are congruent. So really, if I just find what one of these sides are, I'll know what the other two sides are because they're congruent. Alright, so looking at these properties, we know that the diagonals are perpendicular. So when the diagonals intersect, they form four 90-degree angles right here, which I'm going to label those so we see them. Alright, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, we also know that there's one set of opposite angles that are congruent, which is the angles here that are created by the two sides that are not congruent. The diagonals bisect the angles created by the congruent sides. So the two angles that are created by your congruent sides, these two are bisected. Alright, and also the diagonal is or one diagonal is bisected by the other, and we kind of already know because these two are already 3. So these two are the ones that are also congruent, which I'll put 3 markings since I already have 1 tick mark here and 2 tick marks there. Alright, well, since we're finding side lengths, we really don't need the properties of the angles. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I want to know what these 4 sides are. Do you have an idea or a hunch as to how we might be able to get there? Which, don't forget, sometimes we don't have enough information with the properties, but sometimes there are shapes within the figure that might just help us find what their side lengths are. Do you see any nifty shapes inside of my lovely kite? There are 4 triangles. Do you see them? There's one right here. We got one right here, one right there, and one down here, and one over here. So we have 4 little triangles in here, which I'm going to focus on these 2 triangles because if we can use these 2 triangles to find the one of the side lengths, that'll help us to find these 2 because these are congruent. Okay, so I'm going to call this one triangle 1 and this one triangle 2. And if we look at them separately, it'll help us to find the third side of the triangle, because if you see here, we know 2 sides of each of those triangles. So in triangle 1, I'll label it right here. Bam. Triangle 1, it kind of looks like this. Alright, I'm looking at this one right here, so this one like kind of right here. Alright, so we know that this little piece is 4 meters, and this piece is 3 meters, and we know this is a right angle. So what kind of triangle is triangle 1? It is a right triangle. And how do we solve for the sides of a right triangle? You guys got it. You do have to use the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem helps you to find sides of only right triangles. In a later math class, you'll learn a different way to find the side lengths of triangles that are not right triangles, but I'll have to leave you hanging on that one. Alright, so we're going to be using the Pythagorean theorem to help us solve. So we have our a squared plus our b squared equals c squared. Alright, remember the a and the b are the sides of the right triangle that make up the right angle. So the 2 sides of the right angle are the ones labeled 4 and 3, and it doesn't matter which one you label the a and the c, or a and b, sorry. I'll label this one a and this one b. And the C is the hypotenuse or hippopotenuse. Board slapper. Anyway, so it's the one across from the 90-degree angle, and it is the longest side, so keep that in mind. Alright, let's start solving for triangle 1. Let's do this thing. So my A is the 4, so it's 4 squared plus the 3 squared equals my third side, which is the C squared. Alright, let's start solving this bad boy. So 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. And 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. And those should add up to be my C squared. So 16 plus 9 is 25. Alright, and how do we undo a squared in a problem? Holy hot dog, you guys nailed it. To undo a square, you square root that thing on both sides. Alright, which the square root will cancel out the square. Bam, bam. So we're left with C equals the square root of 25, which is 5. And technically, when we square root both sides of an equation, we technically are supposed to do a plus or minus, but it doesn't really make sense to have a negative side link, so I'm going to only include the positive one. So my C is 5 centimeters. So I know that this side is 5, because I solved for this side of this little guy. And since these two are congruent, I also know that this one is 5 meters. Holy hot dog, we just found 2 of the sides. Yeah, let's keep going. Alright, I'm going to do the same concept with this triangle right here. So, if you think you understand how to do this, I highly encourage you to pause the video and try to finish it on your own. So let's look at triangle number 2 right now. I'm going to do this one in red. Yeah, jazz it up. So this one looks more like this. Alright, which this piece is this side, which is 3 meters. The long side is this right here, which is 9 meters. And we want to find what this side is. So I don't know what this side is. Okay? And guess what, you guys? What kind of triangle do we have here? We have another right triangle. And how do you solve for the sides of a right triangle? Holy hot dog, you guys are brilliant. It is the Pythagorean theorem again. So we're going to do our A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Let's get going. So my A is, again, the A and the B are the sides of the right angle. So it doesn't matter which one I label it. This is the side of the right angle as well as this one. So the A and the B and the C is the side across from my 90-degree angle. So we have a 3 squared plus my B squared, which is the 9 squared, equals my C squared. Alright, let's start doing this thing. So 3 squared is 9. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81, equals C squared. And 81 plus 9 is 90, which equals C squared. And how do we undo a square? You do have to square root that thing. Bam and bam. Which remember, the square root will cancel out the square. So we're left with C equals the square root of 90. Now, is 90 a perfect square? No, it is not. No, it is not. So, when we do not have a perfect square, remember, we have to do a little factor tree to simplify it down. So we're going to do a little factor tree over here for the square root of 90. So 2 things that go into 90 are 9 and 10. And 2 things that go into 10 are 2 and 5. And 2 things that go into 9 are 3 and 3. So do we see any cute little couples at the end of our branches? Yes, we do right here. And remember, for each pair that you have, you circle and only one comes out. So C will equal the 3. And any numbers that did not have a cute little couple, they do not get to leave the house. The 3s get to leave the house and go on their hot math date. But the lonely 2 and the 5 have to stay in here, which remember we multiply them when they stay in here. Or really, if you have more than one number either on the outside or inside, you have to multiply them. Alright, so 2 times 5 gives me 10. So C is 3 root 10. Holy hot dog. So this side is 3 root 10 as well as this one. Holy hot dog, you guys. We just found all the lengths of all the sides of the kite. Heck to the yes. Oh no.